We are your home theater and AV questions answered. This is AVRant. Want your home theater or AV question answered by Tom and Rob? Send it to question@avrant.com. Welcome to AVRant. I'm Tom Andry, and I'm here with
Rob H.
Brandon. Brandon just upgraded to a Denon AVR X4300H. Hey, so did I. He has some questions about the Audyssey Multi-Q XT32. After having run Audyssey, he kind of wants to tweak the volume level of his subwoofers. If he adjusts the volume dials on the backs of his subs or adjusts the trim levels in his X4300H manually, does he then have to rerun Audyssey again? If you do, it's going to set it back to where it had it before. So
it's going to undo what you just did, basically.
Okay, if you run Audyssey, you say, wow, this sounds really good. I would still like some more bass. There ain't nothing wrong with that. Okay? That is perfectly fine. Goose the bass, go on with your life. Yep. Don't worry about it. If you run Audyssey again, Audyssey is going to be like, who turned the bass up? Knock it back down.
That's what it's going to do.
Because that's its job.
There's one other slight wrinkle in this, which is that the X4300H can work with the Audyssey editor app.
Which you could then just do it in Audyssey as well.
So if you wanted to, if you're like, hey, what Audyssey gives me by default, I would enjoy a little bit louder bass, which is totally fine. You could pay I think it's $20 still for the Audyssey editor app, and that lets you manually set your target curve in the app. So there you would just say, okay, make my bass a little bit louder. That's the new target I want you to aim for. And then you would rerun Audyssey for that. Given this new target curve that it's aiming for, and that would increase your bass level that way. So that's an alternative. But honestly, there's absolutely nothing wrong with just going on the volume dials or using I would recommend using the trim level myself.
I would too.
That's what I would suggest using is the trim level.
So if he does tweak the volume dials or the trim level, does that throw off Audyssey's EQ adjustments? Will it make everything incorrect? Yes. It's exactly what you're doing. That is literally exactly what you're doing. You are so it made everything as correct as it could, then you made it less correct. That doesn't make it bad. It just means that it is now when it thinks it's it's making things even. It's making things even, but it's going to have slightly more bass because you adjusted the bass up a little bit.
But this is a linear offset.
Right.
So if you're talking about, like the EQ, which is, okay, the EQ came in and said, okay, you actually have a bit of a hump in your frequency response here. So it just in those frequencies that have this hump, I'm going to reduce their level as part of the equalizer. That doesn't change. All you've done is taken that setting and now linearly moved the whole thing up.
Yeah. Right? Which is what you wanted to do in the first place.
That's right.
So it's fine.
It's the equalizer still got rid of that hump that shouldn't be there. You're still getting a flatter line. It's just you've moved the entire line upward, making the whole thing louder. That's fine. So you didn't damage the equalizer. It's no longer correct in the sense that it's no longer matching the original Audyssey target curve, but it's matching the shape of the curve. You've just moved the whole thing upward in the bass. That's fine.
So if he's manually changing the subwoofer's volume levels, do they still need to be level matched? Does he need to check that with this separate SPL meter? If they do need to be level matched, how does he accomplish it? Now, they're already level matched. They've been level matched, and if you adjust the trim and not the volumes on the back, because this is the dangers of adjusting the volume on the back. Once you move that knob, you will never get it back to where it was before, and you don't know that you're moving them both the same amount. So just adjust the trim levels because the subs have already been leveled by Audyssey and Denon, and now you are just giving them a little bit more juice from the receiver's end, which means that they're going to be the same volume relatively at your seat.
Yeah, so since you do have the two separate subwoofer outputs, I'm assuming that's what he's used in this instance. You go to subwoofer 1, you move its trim level up 3, 4, 5 decibels, something like that, and you also move subwoofer 2's trim level up the same amount.
Right.
They're still level matched. You've just moved them both up equally, and that's, again, why I was saying I also favor doing this in the trim level rather than the physical volume knobs.
So what about, say, adjusting the trim level of a center speaker? Would that throw off Audyssey's EQ results, or is it no big deal? Yes. throws it off.
Well,
but it's okay.
But in the same way.
Yeah. No, but do you see where we're going here? You are now adjusting most of your speakers up a little bit. I think you just want it louder, in which case, just turn it louder.
Because, I mean, a lot of people want the center speaker in particular relatively louder than the front left, right? Because it helps the dialogue be a little bit clearer. A lot of people like that little extra goosing in the bass. That's really, really common. So
I'm just saying, he's pretty close to he's one more set of speakers away from just turn the whole thing up.
Just turn the whole thing up.
So, any reason to manually adjust the distance settings? Why might someone ever need or want to do so? There is no reason for you to ever manually adjust the distance setting. Why would you want to do so? If you do not have a phase knob on the back of a sub, you could use the distance setting to essentially accomplish the same thing.
Yep.
But you don't need to. So don't worry about it.
No.
Don't.
No, in your case, there's really no reason to go manually messing with that. And you might notice that again,
the
since
distance to your subwoofers is like
Yeah.
outside of your house. And you're like, what is going on?
Or it set them to 3 feet, even though you know they're physically 10 feet away from you or
Right.
something. That's entirely possible. You shouldn't see something like that in your speakers.
No.
Your speakers should be set
Pretty
very close to their actual physical distance away from you. But you might notice that your subwoofer 1 and subwoofer 2 are set to distances that don't match their actual physical distance away from you. That's okay. It actually probably knows better than you do.
Yes.
Because that is based on the acoustic distance, not the physical distance. And with very, very long bass waves, that can be quite different from
Right.
physical. Yeah.
It's basically like a phase thing. I mean, it's
a
what it
delay.
comes down to. It's a
It is
delay.
literally a delay in the signal. Yeah.
It's just, don't worry about it. Don't ever look at that number. That's the important thing. It's one of those things I wish they would just take it off of there. Like, don't touch the distance. Want your question answered? Send it to question@avrant.com. This is AVRant.
Now go out and listen to something.